when you look at Donald Trump and you see and you know he only paid $750 on his taxes, you knew he couldn't address the camera directly. And I think the part that really spoke to me when it comes to Joe Biden being the meek is when Donald Trump began to talk about destruction of the suburbs. And Joe Biden's response was, to me, one of the best responses that we saw in the debate. He said, dude, have you looked at the suburbs recently? Because if you know anything, Clay, and you know the numbers are a majority of African Americans live in suburban America.
They
don't live in the cities. They live in the suburbs. And he's absolutely right, because the childhood that he talked about was my childhood. You live in the suburbs where when I was going to debate practice, it was me, my friend Troy, who was white. We had another friend, Valerie, who was Hispanic, and it was one of our moms taking us to debate practice. And that is what the suburbs look like. And so to all those voters, they're saying to themselves, destroy the suburbs. The suburbs are already integrated, dude. There are already black people and white people who live in the suburbs.
Well, also, he has no context of like even a 101 piece of black history and black communities and black neighborhoods. What he doesn't know is that there's been a flight over the decades of a lot of black folks leaving the city. This would happen in Philadelphia. They would leave Philadelphia and they would go to a city called Upper Darby, which is right outside of Philadelphia. There's been this movement to really flee cities and be in the suburbs. But he has no idea about that. He thinks we're all packed, in cities. I mean, and also ignoring the South. I mean, there are tons of, you're from the South, Richard. There are tons of southern areas, areas that are just mainly just suburbs, not really cities. So rural areas, for example. So it's but you say a lie over and over, it resonates.
I just feel that my gut, like I said, I go with my heart on this one, and my heart says that millions of Americans will say, this guy has got to go. And remember, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. And what we want to happen in this election, what we're asking to happen in this election, it's not that you need 80 or 100,000 additional people to show up. In the state of Michigan, all you need is 2 more votes for Joe Biden over Donald Trump in each precinct, if you're basing it off 2016 numbers, for him to win. Hillary Clinton lost Michigan by 10,000 votes, which averages 2 votes per precinct. In Wayne County, which is Detroit proper, and the surrounding counties, there was a drop-off of 75,000 voters who showed up in 2012 for Barack Obama, who didn't show up in 2016 for Hillary Clinton. If 25% of those voters show up, right, if 50% of those people who stayed at home decide to show up in this election, it will flip the state of Michigan to Joe Biden. The same goes with Pennsylvania. Donald Trump won Pennsylvania by 20,000 votes. You're from Philly, Clay.
Yes,
we could get those 20,000 votes from Philly alone. Between Philly and Pittsburgh and Reading and Scranton, if we get 5,000 additional voters in all 3 of those cities, which is not hard, right, this election's over for Donald Trump, right? The same goes for Wisconsin. He won. Remember, Donald Trump won this election by small micro margins in all these respective states. So if we can convince 1,000 white women, or 5,000 white women in Michigan, and we couple those 5,000,
or 10,000 more black and brown folks in Philly, or 10,000 more black or brown folks in Detroit. I know what you're saying, Richard, but I'm going back to I'm nervous because the stats don't. I know our stats. If we have 2 or 3% voter turnout. I always say this. In 1868, 80% of black folks who can vote, just black men, were registered. 80% in 1868.